Hi, I'm Wells. I used to think I had the perfect life. Decent job as a financial advisor, nice house in the suburbs, and a wife I thought I'd grow old with. That all changed 3 months ago when Sarah started coming home late from work events. Hey, honey, Sarah said, dropping her keys on the counter. The clock read 11:30 p.m. Sorry I'm so late. The client meeting ran long and then we all went for drinks. I glanced up from my laptop. That's the third time this week. Must be some important client. It is. The Richardson account could be huge for the firm. She kissed my cheek, the unfamiliar scent of cologne lingering on her blouse. You smell different, I said casually. Sarah froze for just a millisecond. Oh, probably from hugging Mark goodbye. You know how he drenches himself in that expensive stuff. Mark was her boss, married with 3 kids. I'd met him at the company Christmas party last year. Right, I said, returning to my spreadsheet. Are you upset? Sarah asked, hovering by the counter. Should I be? She crossed her arms defensively. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, I shrugged. Just seems like you're spending more time with clients than with me lately. That's not fair, Wells. You know how important this account is for my career. More important than us? Sarah's expression softened. Of course not. Look, I promise this weekend is just for us. No work, no phones. You said that last weekend too, I reminded her. Then Mark called with that emergency. That was different. The client was threatening to walk. There's always some excuse, isn't there? Sarah sighed dramatically. I'm too tired for this conversation right now. She headed toward the bedroom, then turned back. By the way, I have a dinner meeting tomorrow with the Richardsons. Don't wait up. The next morning, my best friend Tony called. Hey man, you free for lunch today? Sure. The usual spot at 12:30? Actually, Tony hesitated. Can we meet at Cafe Blue instead? There's something I need to talk to you about. Tony never suggested Cafe Blue. It was across town from both our offices. When I arrived, Tony was already seated, fidgeting with his napkin. Thanks for coming, Wells. What's going on? You're acting weird. Tony took a deep breath. I saw Sarah yesterday. Okay. She wasn't at a client meeting. She was at Luciano's with Mark. I felt my stomach drop. Maybe it was work-related. Wells, Tony leaned forward, lowering his voice. They were holding hands across the table. He kissed her when they left. I'm sorry, man. You sure it was them? I took pictures. Tony slid his phone across the table. I didn't want to believe it either. The photos were unmistakable. Sarah and Mark in a corner booth, laughing, touching, kissing. My hands started shaking. What are you going to do? Tony asked. I slid the phone back. I'm going to need more than just pictures before I make any moves. You're not just going to confront her? No, I said, my mind already racing ahead. I need to know everything first, every detail, every lie, then I'll decide what to do. Wells, be honest with me, Tony said, placing his hand on my shoulder. Did you suspect anything? I stared at my untouched water. Little things, late nights, new clothes, constantly texting, that look in her eyes, distracted like she's somewhere else, even when she's sitting right across from me. Why didn't you say anything? Because saying it out loud makes it real, I replied, and I wasn't ready for it to be real. Wells, are you sure you want to go down this road? Asked Melissa, my sister and a private investigator. Once you start digging, you can't unknow what you find. We were sitting in her office, the photos from Tony spread across her desk. I need to know the truth, I replied. Can you help me or not? Of course I can help you, but this isn't just about catching them together. You need to think about what comes after. I already know what comes after, divorce, Melissa nodded. Then we need to be smart about this. If she's cheating, you'll want evidence that will hold up if things get messy. What exactly are you going to do? I asked. Basic surveillance first, Melissa explained, taking notes. Track her movements, document meetings, gather evidence of the affair. I'll need access to your shared accounts, phone records, credit cards, that sort of thing. Take whatever you need. Just find me the truth. For 2 weeks, Melissa tracked Sarah's movements. The late work meetings were actually rendezvous at hotels and restaurants across town. She had recordings of phone calls, credit card statements showing hotel charges, and photos documenting at least 7 different meetups. What does her friend Amber know? I asked, remembering how close they were. Based on the texts we recovered, everything, Melissa confirmed. She's been covering for Sarah, even creating fake alibis. Let me see those messages, I said, scrolling through screenshots Melissa had collected. The texts were damning. He suspects nothing, Sarah had written to Amber. Wells is so wrapped up in his work he barely notices I'm gone. Another. Mark says he's leaving his wife after bonus season. Just a few more months of sneaking around. My hands trembled with rage. 6 months, I whispered. They've been planning this for 6 months. There's more, Melissa said gently. They've been looking at apartments together, and there's a joint account with about $30,000 in it. Our money? Some of it, yes. Transfers from your shared savings. I called Amber that evening, asking her to meet for coffee. What's this about, Wells? Amber asked nervously as she slid into the booth. Sarah's been acting different lately. I thought you might know what's going on. Amber's eyes darted away. She's just busy with work, that's all. Come on, Amber. We've known each other for years. I don't know what you want me to say. I leaned forward. How about the truth about Sarah and Mark? Her face paled. Wells, it's not my place. So you do know, I cut in. How long has it been going on? I didn't want to be involved. But you are involved. Every time you lied for her, you became involved. Amber's eyes welled with tears. 6 months. It started at the conference in Denver. 6 months, I repeated, the betrayal cutting deeper, and you helped her hide it. She said it was just a fling, that it would end soon. Well, it's going to end, just not the way she planned. Wells, please. Amber reached for my arm. She's my friend, but what she's doing is wrong. I've told her that. Not wrong enough for you to tell me the truth. She swore she would end it. Last month, then last week. I laughed bitterly. And you believed her? I wanted to, Amber admitted. She says she loves you, but she loves Mark more. I finished for her. She's confused, making terrible choices. And the apartment hunting? The secret bank account? Those don't sound like confusion to me, Amber. They sound like plans. Amber's eyes widened. How did you know about that? Does it matter? What matters is I know everything now. Later that night, I met with David, my attorney and college roommate. Based on what you've given me, David said, reviewing the evidence, you've got a solid case for an at-fault divorce due to infidelity. What's my next step? Let me draft the papers. Once they're ready, it's your call how you want to serve her. I have an idea about that, I said. Her calendar shows a dinner reservation for tomorrow night at Luciano's, their favorite spot. David raised an eyebrow. You're not planning anything illegal, are you? No, I replied, just something memorable. Wells, I need to ask, are you absolutely sure this is what you want? Divorce is final. I met his gaze steadily. What would you do if your wife was stealing your money to start a new life with another man? Fair point, David conceded, but as your friend and lawyer, I have to make sure you're thinking clearly. I've never thought more clearly in my life. I watched from my car as Sarah entered Luciano's, wearing the red dress I'd bought for our anniversary. 10 minutes later, Mark arrived. I waited another 15 minutes before grabbing the manila envelope from the passenger seat. The host recognized me. Mr. Parker, good evening. Your wife is already seated. I know, I said calmly. Table 12 with her boss. His eyes widened in understanding. Sir, it's all right. This won't take long. I spotted them immediately, laughing, sharing wine, his hand resting on hers. I approached slowly, taking in every detail to remember later. Hello, Sarah, Mark. My voice was steady. Sarah's face drained of color. Wells, what are you doing here? I was about to ask you the same thing. Client meeting running long? Mark withdrew his hand. Wells, this isn't what it looks like. Really, because it looks exactly like what it is. I turned to Sarah. 6 months, right? Since Denver. Sarah's mouth opened and closed. Does it matter? I know everything. I placed the envelope on the table. Divorce papers. You should read them carefully, especially the part about adultery. Wells, please, Sarah stood up, grabbing my arm. Let me explain. It just happened. Things don't just happen for 6 months, I replied, removing her hand. You made choices. Every lie, every text, every night you were with him. Those were all choices. I made a mistake, she pleaded, tears streaming down her face. We can work through this. Go to counseling. There's nothing to work through. It's over. Mark stood up. You're making a scene. Let's discuss this privately. Like you two discussed your affair privately? I laughed bitterly. No, I think we're done being private. You son of a... Mark grabbed my collar. You think you can just embarrass us like this? Several diners gasped. The manager approached. Is there a problem here? Yes, I said calmly. This man is assaulting me. I barely touched you, Mark shouted. With witnesses all around, I added, looking pointedly at the neighboring tables. The manager stepped between us. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. He started it, Mark protested, his face reddening. I was just having dinner with my wife, I replied innocently when her boss became aggressive. An older woman at the next table spoke up. I saw the whole thing. This gentleman was calm until the other man grabbed him. Mark glared at the woman. Mind your own business, lady. The manager's expression hardened. Sir, I'm calling security if you don't leave immediately. Fine, Mark snapped, turning to Sarah. Let's go. Sarah stood frozen, looking between us. I can't just... What? I asked. Leave with your lover? Why not? You've been planning to leave anyway. The apartment viewings? The $30,000 you took from our savings? Sarah's eyes widened. You know about that too? I know everything, Sarah. Mark grabbed his coat. Sarah, now, let's go. This is between my wife and me, I said firmly. Ex-wife, Mark corrected with a sneer. You've made that pretty clear. Mark, stop, Sarah pleaded. You're making things worse. Worse, Mark laughed. How could it possibly be worse? Your husband served you divorce papers in the middle of a restaurant. I'd say we're well past worse. Gladly, I said. I've said what I came to say. I turned to Sarah one last time. Your lawyer can contact mine about the house. He actually grabbed you? Tony asked as we sat in my temporary apartment 3 weeks later. Right in front of everyone, I confirmed, which worked out perfectly for the restraining order. And Sarah? Moved in with her sister. The firm put Mark on leave pending an investigation into their relationship. Turns out they have a strict policy about managers dating subordinates. Melissa joined us with beers. The divorce is moving forward smoothly. With the evidence we gathered, she's not contesting anything. Has she tried contacting you? Tony asked. Every day for the first week. Calls, texts, even a handwritten letter apologizing and begging for another chance. And nothing. It's over. The doorbell rang. Tony answered it and returned with David. I just left the courthouse, David announced, holding up a folder. Judge Peterson granted the expedited hearing. Given the circumstances and evidence, she's inclined to rule in your favor on all counts. That's great news, I said. There's something else, David added. Sarah wants to meet. One last conversation before things are finalized. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop downtown. Sarah was already there when I arrived, looking thinner than I remembered. Thanks for coming, she said softly. David said you wanted to talk. I wanted to say I'm sorry, really sorry. Her eyes were red-rimmed. What I did was unforgivable. Yet here you are, seeking forgiveness. No, she shook her head. I know that's not possible. I just need you to understand it wasn't about you. I was selfish and stupid. Is that supposed to make me feel better? Nothing will make you feel better, she admitted. I know that now. I just hope someday the hurt I caused will fade. It already has, I lied. I'm moving on. Mark lost his job, she said after a pause. I might lose mine too. Consequences tend to follow bad decisions. Wells, she reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Is there any way we could start over? Not now, but maybe someday? I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in months. No, there isn't. I still love you. You loved me so much you cheated for half a year. I made a horrible mistake. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary or burning dinner. What you did was a choice, Sarah, a series of choices every single day. She wiped away tears. So this is really it? This was it, the moment you decided our vows meant nothing. I stood up. Goodbye, Sarah. As I walked away, Tony called. How'd it go? It went, I said, stepping into the sunshine. It's finally over. You okay? I thought about it for a moment. Not yet, but I will be. Have you ever had to make a clean break from someone who betrayed you? Sometimes walking away is the only path forward, even when it hurts. What would you have done in Wells' shoes?